Oh, hey, how's it going? What's that? What am I doing? Well, obviously I'm fat biking, but bigger picture, I'm getting ready for the Race Around Rwanda. That's gonna be a 1,000-kilometer self-supported bike packing race all the way around the country of Rwanda, smack in the middle of Africa. It's my first time going to the continent of Africa. I'm really excited about that. It's an early February race. I'm here in Vermont where it's about 17 degrees now. It's between 60 and 80 degrees in Rwanda on any given day, so way different temperature. So in order to get ready for this race, I'm doing things that are, let's call it atypical. Obviously fat biking, I'm doing quite a bit of Nordic skiing. I'm doing a lot of time on the trainer. I'm using some sweat training techniques, heat training, all sorts of new stuff. I want to explain that to you coming up here shortly, so stay tuned as we talk about my preparation for the race and Race Around Rwanda itself. So I'm gonna get back at it. Here we go. Hey, welcome back indoors. I've warmed up, I've showered, I got a warm meal in me, ready to tackle the rest of the day. And by that, I mean telling you about this race and the unique approach that I'm taking to it. So to begin, as I mentioned, the Race Around Rwanda is a 1,000-kilometer self-supported bikepacking race around, as you guessed it, the country of Rwanda. So for one, it's pretty amazing that the organizers were able to land smack on 1,000 kilometers, 621 miles on the nose. Now, the once upon a time college math major in me likes this clean solution. Brilliant. Thank you, metric system. Next, anytime I tell someone that I'm doing this race, there are a lot of immediate questions that come up. What are you doing for water? What does it take to get to Rwanda? Are there wild animals you need to be concerned about? All great questions. All questions that I had too, and they're all questions that are handled on racearoundrwanda.com/FAQ, frequently asked questions. Bikepacking websites will run the gamut of intentionally cryptic to really explanatory, and this one definitely leans towards the latter. Lots of great information out there, so please check that out. Now, one of the next questions that I often get is why? Why are you doing this race, Ted? I'm interested in doing this race for a variety of reasons, but I figure I will break it down into 5. So here are my top 5 reasons to do the Race Around Rwanda. Kicking off, number 1, first and foremost, when this race hit my radar many months ago, it was like this giant flag going up in the air saying, wow, this race looks super cool. It is the intrigue, it is the adventure. I've raced in North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Australia. But this is gonna be my first time ever to Africa. Why not race a bike there too? So I'm really excited about that. Additionally, I've talked to 2 of the pillars of the ultra distance community, Ulrich Bartholomeus, winner of the Tour Divide 2023, and Justinas Levaika, winner of the 2024 Tour Divide, both of whom have done the race, and they absolutely raved about it. They talked about, quite frankly, how awesome it is. Of note, they mentioned that there's community all throughout the route, how curiously populated Rwanda is, and therefore you're constantly going in and out of towns and seeing people cheering, seeing people along the side of the road. That all sounds super cool. So all of that is wrapped up into my number 1 reason. It sounds like an absolute trip. Number 2, how about a change in the weather? Now, this is the first January in I mean, quite frankly, forever that I haven't sought out warm weather in the form of a trip. Obviously, in my World Tour career, we were always at camps or even starting races here in January. But now in this gravel chapter of life, I did the coast ride a half dozen times or more, beginning in 2016. I went to Arizona last year for a week. I've done trips to Hawaii and to South Carolina and to Spain to seek out warm weather over the years. Here in 2025, I committed to Vermont, and so here I am, now looking for an excuse to get out. Now, the reality of that is that it's been a really, really tough winter. There was a 2-week stretch where every day the weather was forecasted to be overcast and dry, which might sound gnarly to some, but truth be told, that kind of forecast usually means that the roads are dry and things are good for outdoor riding if you're bundled up. But literally for 2 straight weeks early this year, there was this cloud that sat over our county, and it snowed and snowed and snowed. It was just like flurries every single day, but that left the roads slushy and foul and not conducive to long rides. That's something normally I can pull off this time of year without too much trouble. So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, enter these different training modalities. Obviously, I'm spending a lot of time on the trainer. I have a whole suite of products from Sarus, the H3 trainer, the MP1 platform, the trainer desk. They all make riding indoors so much more enjoyable. It's additionally a mix of different pieces of technology that will help pass the time. So having grown up playing hockey, that's often what I'm watching. The NHL show that takes a page out of Drive to Survive on Amazon was an absolute hit. Really loved watching that. I'm playing New York Times Spelling Bee and Wordle on my phone. I'm writing emails. I'm constantly switching power and cadences on the Sarus app, which communicates with the trainer, so that's keeping me constantly on my toes also. Maybe you've seen me slogging away in a painter suit. No, I'm not doing some mid-ride house upkeep. No, I'm not cooking basement methamphetamines. This is a new tool being added to the athlete's toolbook, so to speak, to increase performance. Now, in short, it increases your blood plasma, which increases overall blood volume and ultimately improves in performance. Furthermore, it's an adaptation to be gleaned when you go to a race in a hot climate. So this was the number 2 reason why I'm going to Rwanda. I'm excited to get out of the winter in Vermont for 1 week. Segueing to number 3, I'm trying to catch up on the winter endurance. Now work with me here for a second. As I just said, I've been riding indoors a lot and then taking advantage of the snow and ripping around on a fat bike. That's what I call the most fun that you're ever gonna have on 2 wheels at super slow speeds. Fat biking is a blast. Don't hate it until you've tried it. I love it, it is awesome. I've also been doing quite a bit of Nordic skiing. Now playing around in the woods is a blast. I grew up doing a lot of downhill skiing. And like I said, grew up playing quite a bit of hockey. So I'm familiar with the art of skating. It's still super awkward for me not having metal edges on your skis, but it is fun, and Nordic skiing is an incredible workout. Now, I rarely do intervals during these outdoor sessions, fat biking or Nordic skiing. It's more of a way to boost endurance so that I'm not purely riding the trainer for 4+ hour sessions. Additionally, it also feels like you're just constantly at tempo, pushing that sweet spot. So it's not as though you're logging junk miles. And truth be told, with this really tough winter that we're in right now, without a traditional trip to warm weather, this winter has been endurance training light. We now see that the 40-hour training week is the new 30-hour training week. Riders are doing just absolutely insane volume. The weather has been, let's call it preventative here in that department. So I'm looking at Rwanda to pull down my own 40-hour week in just 2 days. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna be going after the win, but the winning time has been right around 50 hours. And we're looking at 2 days and change for this 620-mile push. In summary, reason number 3, the reason for doing this is to log a massive winter endurance training block. Okay, jumping now to number 4, 'tis the season of teasing race calendars. And my 2025 is a mix of something old, something new, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and bike packing definitely fits the bill there. Now, I've dabbled in bike packing races over the years. I once upon a time set the record at the Arkansas High Country Race, smack there in NWA. Really enjoyed that. 1,000-mile race with some weird definition of what it means to be enjoyed. I've done some all-day pushes like the VTXL. I've also done it over the course of 4 days with some friends as a true bike packing route. That's a highly recommended one. Check out VTXL. It's one that I'd like to return to. I was, of course, humbled at Tour Divide, but that one remains high on my interest list. Anyway, the point is, this style of ride, this length, this distance of Race Around Rwanda is one that is particularly interesting. So I am pumped to kick off my year with the Race Around Rwanda as a bike packing event. And of course, check out my calendar to see what else I'll be doing this year. Lastly, number 5, which despite being last on the list is very high in importance. So speaking of calendars, not that I imagine many of you are perusing the UCI Pro Road calendar all that much, but if you look all the way forward to late September 2025, you're gonna see the Road World Championships are gonna be hosted in, you guessed it, Rwanda. Now the Tour of Rwanda has been turning heads over the years. That's a UCI race with huge crowds. The pavement is rumored to be absolutely pristine. So why not host the dang World Championships? I'm eager to check out this place that is soon going to be on a lot more people's radar, courtesy of the Road Worlds. Obviously not racing Road Worlds, but this seems to be like a really cool opportunity to scope out a new corner of the world to me. And so there you have it. Those are my top 5 reasons to head to Race Around Rwanda. And with that, this video is a bit of a 2-parter. So maybe you caught some new visuals that weren't part of my traditional arm's distance selfie shooting technique. And on that note, my favorite new toy is the Hover Air Pro Max. I've been playing with it nonstop since getting my hands on it just a few days ago. Maybe you've seen this brand in the past with the original Hover Air. Basically, it's a camera that follows you automatically. Simple enough. Now, their original Hover Air was super cool, but only worked well at relatively slow speeds. So basically, walkers and joggers and people doing slow speed activity could make a really cool video, but cyclists would quickly outrun the drone. So now, fast forward to today, the Pro Max has a continuous follow speed of 42 kph or 26 miles per hour, or up to 60 kph or 36 miles per hour instantaneous tracking speed. I don't know about you, but that is well within my totally normal riding pace, and it's fine for short hills too. I have outrun it a few times, but that's bombing descent, so no surprise there. Otherwise, it does a really great job of locking in on me and keeping me within the frame. So let's take one quick step back. Basically, Hover Air X1 is a hands-free aerial photographer that basically does all the work for you. There are a variety of different shots to choose from. It can shoot you from the side and track you that way. It can zoom in and out when you're stationary. It can loop a circle around you and fly in orbit. It can hover over you and fly straight up and down. And then it can do much, much more dynamic stuff by flying in reverse and what's called dolly tracking, tracking you from the front. This is a mode that I've been using often on the road bike, on my fat bike, through the woods, Nordic skiing. It captures super cool shots. Another one I'm using often is the track from behind feature. This just follows you and you can really test out that max speed capabilities. Again, skiing or riding, this catches really fun shots, it catches the landscape, and it catches the action. It's something that I think you're seeing more and more on TV when you're watching European style bike races, cyclocross races. It is really, really neat. There are specific ski and cycling modes where the drone can follow you through really tight terrain. Now there are of course limitations, but it can still hit sticks and trees, but it does have a really solid sense of awareness and does an amazing job tracking closely. Now there are settings within those settings. You can shoot from high, you can shoot from medium, you can shoot from low. And maybe most interesting, it shoots in a massive 8K for ridiculously sharp footage. It is crystal clear and delivers a beautiful image, but among other benefits, you can also shoot in landscape and then crop it vertically and not lose quality. There are a variety of different shooting modes, including a very impressive 120 frames per second in 4K or 1080p, delivering really nice slow motion shots. Now you take your phone out, that's gonna shoot in slow-mo at 60 frames per second, which is nice. But then if you cut that in half once again, you're gonna get an even more dramatic shot. And we all know the most dramatic things happen in slow-mo. So that's the nuts and bolts. I have another drone which is fun to use and operate, but I need to really switch on mentally in order to put myself in the visual of the drone and then shoot down on my subject and lock in on it. It's next to impossible. With the Hover Air, you literally put the Hover Air in your hand, pick the mode, and you press a button. It takes off, flies, and captures the perfect shot. It's super light, it's small, it fits into my jersey pocket. The thing is as sleek and simple and easy as it gets. So that's a wrap. Obviously in bike packing, the goal is to have a super light kit and not be overwhelmed with a heavy bike. I'm sure that I'm gonna be taking that Hover Air with me to Rwanda and get those really interesting shots that are more than just arm's distance away. As always, thank you very much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Trust me, it does make a meaningful difference. Don't forget to tune in on the return leg when I have the Race Around Rwanda race report. Until next time, ciao.